I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
Life advice rr@gmail.com. This one is serious. This is serious. I love this one, so we're just going to get to it. I don't want to waste any time. All right, everybody ready?
Yeah. Kyle sepia tone love today.
What kind of filter we got? I had the email up. Oh, so what are you? Talk to me, Kyle. What are you, kind of dusky right now? What's going on with this filter?
Just been watching 1883. I'm into it, so here we are.
Oh, all right. Some of the women out there on Instagram posted some of these filters. You're like, you're just making your skin look super old, right? Like this doesn't look good. Just old. Hey, old skin. All right, here we go. All right, back to the email because this is serious. All right, here we go. 62240, recently taken a CrossFit, so my most recent benchmark is a 285 clean and jerk. Avid basketball fan, frequently play pickup. This is relevant to my situation, as you'll see in a minute. Okay, all right. Squat 480, bench 350. All right, we're dealing with a serious guy here. Okay, he said he's changing some details so that we can read it full through. Thank you for doing that.
Unabridged. Nice.
Right. Here we go. For some background, I'm a married guy, mid-30s, no kids. I have one sister who's about 8 years younger than me. My wife and I live in Illinois, and my sister and mother live on the East Coast. About 3 years ago, my sister, let's start calling her Charlotte, started dating this guy, Andrew. I assume he changed these, right?
Yeah. If he said he did, then he did. And if not,
we're good.
They're in parentheses. All right. I know. I'm just double checking. Sometimes I'll change the change thing, and I didn't hear because it comes up too often. All right. So his sister Charlotte started dating this guy, Andrew, and they are now engaged. He seems nice enough and is a reasonably successful guy, works in insurance, dabbles in real estate as well. He's 5 years younger than me, went to a good school, and I was surprised to learn he played D1 hoops. I won't say the school, but it's a notable program with some lower-seeded NCAA tournaments in the last 10 years.
Nice.
Okay. Like any other sports nerd, I went and looked it up, see what I could find of his stats, and he was pretty decent. Played decent minutes, though he was not a consistent starter. Being they live on the East Coast and we're here in the Midwest, my wife and I obviously haven't spent a time with them, especially with the pandemic. We decided this year to have them out for the holidays, and they stayed at our place for 5 nights over Christmas. While I was excited to talk sports with my sister's fiance. I mean, can you imagine how fired up the emailer is that this guy, right? So while I was excited to talk sports with my sister's fiance, the situation got weird quickly. God, I love this fucking email so much. One night at dinner, I was asking Andrew about playing college ball, and he was a bit evasive about answering basic questions. I had a million curiosities about travel for college athletes, balancing school and play, and wanting to know all about playing in the big dance. I'm going to lose it. Sorry. Like any normal sports fan who's played a little bit, I played some our guy played high school and some JUCO. So look, if you're playing junior college basketball, like you're still ahead of like 99% of everybody at some fucking pickup game. All right. So like you, the emailer here, like, you're probably pretty good. You played a little. All right. I was excited to talk to an actual athlete or former athlete. At the time, I thought he probably gets these questions from people all the time when they find out where he went to school and that he played basketball. My wife agreed with me that evening when we spoke about it that I might have just come across as a little overzealous, when in my mind, I was just generally curious about the guy. Fast forward a couple days. I get up in the morning to go to the gym to meet up with a friend of mine and play some pickup. There's usually a good-sized group of guys. I can't read this email.
I'm just trying to like guess where this is possibly going. I have no idea.
Oh, because I knew when I read it the first time, I knew exactly where it was going. And I just love it so much. Because it happened to me too, by the way. All right, so here we go. Fast forward a couple of days. I get up in the morning. It's usually a good sized group of guys over there holiday week. So we figured it was a good time to go. I casually asked Andrew if he wants to tag along and play some pickup. He objected at first, saying he didn't have his gear with him. But seeing as he wears basketball shoes daily anyway, I offered him some of my spare clothes to play in and assured him these games are going to be very low key compared to wherever he plays back home. Charlotte and my wife both encouraged him, and ultimately he agreed to come along.
Oh, you cornered him into going.
I haven't laughed this hard in such a long time, and it's not that funny. I don't know why. I can't contain myself here. I need to tighten it up. After about 15 minutes at the gym, I came to the realization there's no fucking way this guy played college basketball. He had no feel for the game. He could not execute a pick and roll in either capacity. After a couple really ugly possessions of bringing the ball up, he suggested someone else do it. Then he kind of stayed out of the way as much as possible. He passed out of open looks. He got absolutely bodied inside. Defensively, he was a turnstile. We have had a couple D1 guys and a former cup of coffee pros come through the gym before, and they're absolutely dominant. Yeah, I would think so. This is a suburban gym. There's usually at least one dude playing in filas. The level of play is not impressive, but it's decent. Suffice to say, I was absolutely embarrassed by what went down. Can you imagine what was going on in this guy's head, the fiance's head, on the drive to this pickup game? Can you imagine the internal fucking carousel of thoughts?
It's like the guy going to the Bills game. It's like, oh no.
Yeah, but this is way worse because you've told everybody you played D1 at a decent school that made a tournament run. Your stats are there. And perhaps, all right, let's get to the full conundrum here. So I'm almost certainly, okay, wait a minute. Suffice to say, I was absolutely embarrassed by what went down. So we awkwardly drive home without a lot of talking. And the two of them left a day or so later. We never talked about it. So naturally, I had to dig into this guy's college career a bit more. What I found out is that another guy with the same name went to the same school around the same time. I found a team photo, and the dude in the photo, not the same dude. So I'm almost certain now that Andrew is pathologically lying to everyone he knows and saying that he played college basketball. Because if they do a cursory Google search, it appears to be true. The question this, of course, raises, other than why the fuck would you do that, is what else is he lying about? I brought it up to my mom. Unfortunately, Dad is no longer with us. Sorry. She seems to think it's not that big of a deal and has asked me to just let it go and not tell my sister. My wife thinks it's fucked up, but I don't think she sees the lie on being the same level as I do. So let me rephrase that. My wife thinks it's fucked up, but I don't think she sees the lies the same level that I do. I try to explain this like saying you were a guitar player in some band with 2 hits 20 years ago, but she doesn't see it the same way. I actually think it's still way worse than that. I don't know. She also thinks I should lay out and not mess with my sister's relationship. So what do you guys think? Do I need to tell my sister? Should I confront the guy and tell him he needs to tell her, or I will, or do I just chalk this up as harmless and let it go? It seems like a pretty erroneous red flag that someone would live their lives with such a huge lie as part of it. But my social circle doesn't seem to view it that way, likely because they're not huge sports fans. Hoping you guys have a similar mindset to mine and can provide some insight. Well, obviously, at first, I was like, well, what if he listens to the podcast? But clearly, this guy probably isn't that into hoops other than lying about it. So maybe he doesn't listen to this podcast and doesn't know. I think it's a huge problem. I think it says a lot about a person. It happened to me. We kind of like, there was a guy sort of staying with us, not really staying with us. He said he played college basketball, was also going to play college football. He was supposed to play college football at a Power 5. And then he said he played at this other school that actually made tournament runs. It's a really good basketball school. And he wasn't big. You know, he was smaller than I was. And I was, I don't know, 26, 27, something like that. So I was kind of like, wow, God, this guy must just be like one of those absolutely Jerry McNamara type of guys, right? Just absolutely lights it up, whatever. Small white guy, just can't miss, you know, tough as nails. I was like, it still doesn't make any sense. So I called the school. I just called the school. Like me and my buddy, I think we're sitting around. And we were just like, let's just fucking call and see if this guy's lying. And I called the school and I was like, hey, do you know this name? And the guy's like, never heard of him. And I was like, is there a chance maybe he got there before you or whatever? He's like, hey, dude, I've traveled with the team for 13 years. I have no idea who it is you're talking about. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, hey, do you want to play one-on-one? And my other roommate was like, are you going to play him? I was like, yeah, I want to play him. I want to see what happens. And he was like, how serious are you going to take it? I was like, I'm going to take it the most serious of anything's ever taken. And he was like, all right. He goes, I'm not going to watch because if it's bad, it's going to be so bad and you're going to be awful to deal with in that game. And I was like, all right, whatever. And I killed him. I mean, killed him. It was awful. It was embarrassing. Yes, I took it way too seriously. But if he was any good, I mean, he's got to beat me. He's got to make every shot. He's going to be, I can't stay in front of him, all that shit. I think it was like 11-1 or something terrible. And then we came back in and the other roommate's like, how'd it go? And I was like, oh, you know, And I was almost embarrassed for the kid, even though he was lying to us about the whole thing. And he lied about a million other things too. He was going to open up for like Dave Matthews or something, some fucking concert.
Nice.
I mean, it was like he was. There was some deep dive stuff. So back to the email. The point is, I would tell the guy. I would say, hey, straight up, look, I'm the brother here. I care about my. It's very obvious you lied. So let's not fucking debate that at all. All right. Don't even let him. Well, no. You know, and I know. You didn't play college basketball. And I looked it up, and it's the same name, but it's a different guy. So that's a problem, Don Draper. It's a real problem. I think it's a major red flag. I think it actually kind of sets the foundation for what you're capable of and what kind of person you are. I don't mean that the guy's like going to be a horrible lover. You know what I mean? But it just that you're willing to do that as an adult, close to 30 years old. And we can get into kind of the seeds that are planted for like how weird it can be when you do this stuff. It can be your own insecurity. It can be stuff that you went through when you were young. I don't know if you've heard this, but a lot of comedians will get up and talk about how they didn't get enough attention as kids, and they talk about therapy. It rarely happens with comedians, but a few have touched on the topic, right? So there are times where you can think, like, I'll think about things that I feel and I'll go, oh, that's because of this, this, and that. You know what I mean? So yeah, we could be delicate about it, but fuck that. Because if it were my sister and you lied to me and the entire family and her that you were a different person, and that it's not just basketball, it's that you were lying that you were a different person. Who knows? That could be something that got him the job. That could also be something that, if it ever gets found out, that turns out that, the place would fire you. They would fire you in a second, unless you were absolutely killing it in sales, and they'd probably just promote you and say, hey, weird story. That guy sucks. I think you have to say something, but I would go to him first and be like, we need to settle this away and figure it out, because it's never, I know who you are, emailer, without knowing you. Mentally, you are never going to let this rest, ever. You're just never going to get over it. So I would talk to him first, so it leaves you the out of going behind your sister's back and potentially destroying her marriage before it even happens.
Yeah, I think I just know how I would handle it. I'm always kind of like, I'm team them, and like my sister likes girls. She's a lesbian, so we always kind of like, hey, what do you think of her? What do you think of her? Like, we'd always been like, I'm sure
when you started, I had no idea where this was going. So now I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm just saying we're like pals in that, like we're actually really good friends, but we're also like sort of like bros in that regard, where it's just like, oh, what do you think of her? But I think people who are close to their siblings, regardless of whether they like the opposite sex or whatever, I think that they're probably also like, what do you think? But I just know for me, I think I wouldn't even have thought about talking to the guy. I'd be like, I think this guy's a fucking liar. Have you noticed any other red flags? Like, I think that's what I would have said, and I probably would have wished afterwards that maybe I did confront the guy. But also,
so by team them, what you mean is team them, like your team, whoever you're closest with. So in this case, when you mean team them, your team, your sister.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Right. Okay. All right. So, I think this is a little different though, because they're engaged.
I mean, it's a little more urgent, I would say. My sister's got a doctorate. She's probably going to be the breadwinner. So you don't want to tie the knot before you check all the red flags. I think it would make it even a little more urgent
But the engagement might help you though, because then you can be like, hey, dude, if you don't tell her before the wedding, like, I'm going to tell her, because this is unacceptable. I've got 2 younger sisters. Like, if I ever found that out, I'd fucking lose my mind. So, because to Ryan, your point, like, okay, if he lied about this and he's been carrying this lie for however long it's been, probably years now, what else is he capable of doing? I'm not saying like he's like gonna be like a future serial killer, but like that's just not a thing a good normal person does. So I think you're right. Tell him, hey, you need to tell my sister, or else like I'm going to spill the beans before the wedding, because this isn't how we're living life. Because you're right, he's never going to get over this. I don't even think this guy can get over it. The emailer can get over it. Even if he does tell her, he's probably never going to like the guy anyway. But at least maybe he can feel a little bit better about his sister's ability to make a decision there. So I think that's what you got to do. But there's no way I'm letting this fucking slide. No way.
There's also a chance too, like as we're going through this, like, are we the psychos? But I'm not even going to open that one up, because we're right. We're right in this. I'm not going to debate it.
That's not normal behavior.
It's not. It's not. Look, there was a transaction of a few years ago with somebody that I know, and the guy was saying a couple different things, and it was like, now we've kind of figured out more about it. This is years ago, and it all related back to like this one lie that like slowly unraveled, And then it's like, oh, wait, now all of the other stuff makes sense because in the beginning we thought it was this because the person was totally comfortable lying about this thing. I also really wish, obviously this is impossible, I would pay pay-per-view money to have had a dash cam in the car on the ride, the ride to the gym. Because think about that. That'd be like you telling a bunch of people you just met that you're sick at an instrument and they're like, come jam with us.
Yeah.
And you plug in and you're kind of like
Here's
just
the acoustic guitar,
hammering that G chord and then laying out for a little bit, like just kind of look at each, maybe a little thumb tap on the old acoustic to like a little rhythm. And you're not really playing and you're going, how long can I play this before everybody else is going, this guy doesn't actually know how to play the guitar. And he said he grew up with Big Head Todd. And it's like, none of this makes any fucking sense. And then you're right. Like the ride, I don't know what I would want access to more. The ride there, probably the ride home. Because after the ride home, you're maybe a couple Gatorades going.
But you know what's so funny is that I wonder I want to know what this guy's size was. Was he above 6 foot? I mean, he had to look like a basketball player, right? And then he also said that he was wearing like basketball sneakers around. So you would think that he like maybe is some kind of an athlete. I don't know.
He likes the culture, man.
Yeah, maybe. But like if he was like 6 foot and like a little bit chubby, wouldn't you have some like reservations before then, or would you be like, I don't know, maybe just put on some pounds? I don't know. I want to know if he looked the part of a basketball player, a D1 basketball player.
I'm deferring to the emailer here that if the emailer is big as these are serious numbers. This guy's a decent sized guy. He's obviously really strong too. And he played a little JUCO ball, that this guy must have passed the eye test enough to even get to this point. For the emailer to have believed the fiance's story, that I don't think he showed up looking like 40-year-old version Seth Rogen.
So what do we think? This guy probably lied like on the first date as an in to be like, hey, I was a D1 hoops player. And then that's just kind of where it grew from there.
I don't know.
And then he could never tell her the truth.
The unnecessary lie to bolster your life is just, makes me sick.
It's one thing to lie like if you're like in Cabo and you're meeting people and you're never going to see them again. It's another thing to lie on the first date and then get engaged to that person.
Cabo, it's okay to lie.
Yeah, I mean, you can be like, I played D1 hoops, and then you all go your separate ways, and then here you go.
Yeah, Van Pelt told me back in the day those guys used to say they were refs.
What?
I was like, is that even cool? Be like, oh, did you go home with that ref? That guy was hot. Be like, yeah, he's like Big Sky ref. I don't know. He told the story on the air, so I don't even know how true it was. I remember one time I got accused of lying about being a baseball player because I was out with baseball players, and I was like, why? I don't need to lie about it. And first of all, I'd be exposed in 2 seconds. Like, so what are you talking about? And it was like, no. You said you were with these guys. I was like, yeah, I was there working out with them, but you made the assumption that I played. Thank you. All right. 6'5", 310. Best of all, I am liquid. Like it. I have this buddy, let's call him James. Found this girl on Tinder. They started texting. She's 19. My buddy's 26. The only social media she has is Instagram. She gets about 20 likes per picture, and posts all seem to be from the same day. Dun, dun, dun. I already know where this is. Yeah, I mean, just one day she started up Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Check me out. This is me with a ladle. 19 years old. What 19-year-old girl only has Instagram and doesn't have other girls commenting, hyping her up? That I don't know. You guys are going to have to help me with that one. Myself and our friend group think he's getting catfished. They have planned a date 3 different times, and she's canceled every time. Maybe she's busy. Maybe she's a writer. They've never talked on the phone and still have never met. Wait, they've never talked on the phone. They were going to meet up for 3 dates. Yeah, your friend's getting catfished.
Yeah, that's
right.
it.
He's in denial. Yeah, he's in. Yeah, there's nothing. Do I read the rest of the email? Let's just read it. But there's nothing else. We've cracked the case. He's in denial, and when we tell him to stop entertaining this catfish, he responds, quote, "I'm single, so it's someone to talk to."
Nope.
He's someone who gets very invested very fast. I'm worried that with him still talking to her, he's going to start catching feelings and be hurt when he finally comes to his senses that nothing can ever be between them. As one of his best friends Do I still try and tell him to stop or just let him get his heart crushed, which will crush me to watch happen? Shout out Kyle.
Make fun of him all the time. That's what I would do. All the time, make fun of him. He's going to start sending this person money. It's just happening. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Somebody's car bill just got taken care of.
Yeah. Make fun of him incessantly, all the time.
Somebody's got a new transmission.
Even if it makes you feel bad, push through. Make fun of him.
Okay, so he's clearly getting catfished.
Yeah.
You've never talked to the person on the phone. All right. I mean, forget FaceTime and the capabilities that we have. You've never actually talked. You canceled 3 times. Instagram posts all for the same day. I mean, I get flooded with those. There'll be like some breakout in the Emirates where all of a sudden it'd be like, hey, want a party fuck time DM. And then, it'll be like you look at the picture and it's like 7 posts from the last hour. They follow me, Steve Levy, and I don't know, Mike Trudell. And you're like, okay, this seems to be a specific lane of verified sports people. And then they'll have like no one follows them, or it'll be like a fake number of followers or whatever. I mean, it happens all the time. And the key is always like, you can always tell, first of all, the DM usually gives it away. That doesn't really happen a lot. Like the podcast.
Bad translate.
Well. Yeah. Right. But the podcast isn't doing that well. That's the kind of DMs that dudes are getting. But I think you got to let him get his heart stomped here to learn a lesson, because it's so obvious what's happening to him that I don't know, Kyle. What do you think?
No, I think you got to just bother him about it all the time. Like, don't make it your mission in life, but just like make it a thing that that you make fun of him for. I think. I mean, this shit is everywhere. How do you not know? I'm getting it. I play Words with Friends. I get like catfish attempts on Words with Friends. They play one word and then they're like, hey, how's it going? And it's like Marie 12793 She joined.
Wait, you're talking to Marie?
I've been talking to 7 versions of Marie. Yeah. Sometimes I actually do just be like, hey, what's going on? How's it? And then sometimes I won't answer, and then they'll just keep they'll stop playing words, but then you can't play another word until you can't type another message until another word's played. So like sometimes I'll get like 7-8 moves out of them just to keep my game scores up. But they're everywhere. How does this guy not know? I think if you're going to be that much of a blind doofus, then yeah, like you're going to be known in our friend group for the guy who's actively getting catfished until you stop it. And that might seem cold, that might seem whatever, but that's how I would handle this.
Did I ever tell the story of how I invented catfishing?
You didn't.
This is the timestamp right here. This is the Life Advice timestamp. Starts right now.
You invented catfishing.
I did. High school. Yeah. People are gonna think I'm a huge dick. I'm really not. So basically, I forget why we did this. Like one of our buddies was just like kind of being annoying, and we were dicking around. We were like, hey, why don't we just create a bunch of fake MySpace accounts? And we created like probably 6 of us created like 6 different people that were all in a friend group, and they were like from the town over from us. And we all friend requested our buddy at the same time. And like I was a dude. One of my friends was the chick, and like there was a couple other girls, a couple other guys, and like we would interact with each other on MySpace. Everybody was in everybody else's top 8. And we tried to arrange a meetup, but he didn't take the bait on it. So we were the first. I think that was 2005 or 2004, probably. So I credit myself with inventing catfish.
No one had attempted prior to that. You believe?
I don't know. The show didn't come out yet. Nobody was talking about it. It's not like we weren't like inspired by Neve and that guy. I don't even know if I knew who that was yet. So we were just like, screw it, let's create some fake MySpace profiles and see what happens. And it didn't work out, but the seeds were planted.
We had Neve on the radio show. That didn't go great.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Was that the guy? That's the guy.
Yeah.
Who, he was like
hugs the people that are getting catfished.
Yeah. I remember Machine Gun Kelly was on an episode of Catfish, and he was like walking down the street yelling at the person, being like, yo, you just can't do that, people. That was early Machine Gun Kelly. So what happened to your friend when he found out, Cerruti?
He was pretty pissed, but we were all like, I think we were all mostly on the football team. We were playing, a couple of them weren't, but mostly
Nice.
in the same friend group. And we were just kind of bored, and we were like, he did something, I forget, that was like that, like kind of pissed us off. And like, let's get him back. Let's do this. and one of us came up with the idea of doing that. And
So
that
you guys
was like at the height
created-
of MySpace.
You guys created like 6 email accounts and did the whole thing, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
My name was Darren Sharper. I remember I made a guy named Darren Sharper.
Hardest hitting safety in the league.
Yeah, I think that's probably why I did it. Not so great now, but yeah, it was and he was from Cheshire. Shouts out to Chester, Connecticut, and like he was in for a while. Like I remember he friended her. I think there was a message or two that was exchanged, but when the meetup thing kind of was pushed, when our fake account tried to force the meetup, I think he sniffed it out and was like, "Fuck you guys."
How do you start that? Like a friendly suggestion to meet up from the guys from the next town over.
So I think we had the girl first, the fake girl account.
Right.
Friended him and then started talking to him about how she knew one of his friends, and then we all friended him together and were friends with her. So it was like, oh, maybe her friend group is like friending our friend Greg because we're interested in she's interested.
So do
in
you
him.
think your
And that's
friends
kinda how it
moved in
stood.
too fast? You think that you messed up?
I mean, we definitely didn't like
the
have
whole
a great
group?
plan for it.
Yeah.
We thought like we can't just have one person, so we'll have multiple people and we'll try to attack her from those angles and make her profile seem legit. And like we had different pictures and whatnot, and it wasn't all pictures from the same day like our friend here. So we tried to make it seem legit, but I don't know. We were amateurs.
I can't believe you just admitted
So-
that.
That's all right. We were young.
Yeah,
stupid.
yeah.
I was 16.
Wow. Man, MySpace. Pour one out.
Yeah.
Thanks to Kyle and Steve. We'll be back on Friday. Please subscribe to the Ryen Russillo Podcast, Ringer, and Spotify.